After Busan Ro, this zombie film is the most successful in Korea. It's one of the few zombie films from recent years that is worth watching. The Cursed is the name of the movie, which debuted in 2021. It will be a kind of horrible existence when the zombies are no longer a dispersed group, but rather a well-trained group with a clear objective. There is an odd killing at the start of the story, and we see a man. Upon his return home, the man discovers that there are indications of someone moving around the room, and that the circuitry has been mysteriously damaged. The man believed there was a burglar in the house, but as he approached the window to investigate, a shadowy figure materialized behind him. The man turned around and struck the unidentified man behind him after realizing something was off, but he did not feel any pain. The mysterious man counterattacked right away, showing great agility and power to quickly and easily subdue the man. The man was immediately bit on the neck by him. The man who was bit died instantly, his body exploding into vile pus bags as he fell to the ground. However, the enigmatic man stayed. His body started to decay and eventually turned into a rotting corpse. The police looked into the scene after receiving a report shortly afterwards. However, what's odd is that the killer who lodged at the scene, clearly dead for 2.5 months, however, the corpse resurrected to murder people. It caused the on-site police officers to become very uncomfortable. In the end, how was he able to resurrect and why was this man killed? The police are unaware of this, but just as they were about to lose it, Jin Hee, the individual being interviewed, got a call from an enigmatic man claiming to be the real murderer and scheduled a live interview with Jin Hee for tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. at a prearranged location. Naturally, the police did not pass up the ideal chance to apprehend the murderer after learning of this information. Thus, the police fielded a sizable contingent of officers to the interview site, ready to make an arrest, under the direction of Seong-jun, Jin Hee's boyfriend. As anticipated, the killer did show up the following day. When the interview finally started, the man responded to all of Jin Hee's questions without holding back. He disclosed not just his name and ID card, but also the fact that he was a sorcerer who controlled dead bodies. He was the one who killed the night before. Jin Hee would never accept such a ridiculous theory as using a corpse as leverage to carry out a murder. However, the man said she would soon come to believe it, given that the intention behind his interview was to issue a warning. He would carry out 3 more killings over the course of the following few days, providing specifics about the locations, timing, and victims of each one. Director Min Seop, Executive Director Sang In, and Chairman Seung Il were all executives of Seichi Pharmaceuticals. Naturally, there are methods to prevent this. It was up to Jin Hee to determine whether or not Seung Il's public apology was sincere and to broadcast it live across the network. Seung Il is the chairman of Seichi Pharmaceuticals. The moment he finished speaking, the man took a dagger from his clothing and took Jin Hee hostage, hoping to take advantage of the situation to get away. Jin Hee discovered a mark on the man's arm when they arrived at the first-floor lobby. And then, just like the murderer at the beginning, his body began to slowly deteriorate and turn into a corpse. It transpired that he was merely a puppet under duress. Why would the person casting this bizarre spell choose to target a pharmaceutical company, and where did it come from? These 2 inquiries prompted the police to open an investigation right away. Initially, they discovered that the spell capable of controlling the corpse was a form of malevolent witchcraft. Based on the distinctive markings and Indonesian writing on the body, it appears that this witchcraft originated in Indonesia. By mixing the caster's blood with the dirt surrounding the corpse, one could control it to do whatever they pleased. In the meantime, Seong-jun led his men to Seichi Pharmaceuticals' upper management to inquire as to why the murderer had exacted revenge on the business. Mi-young, the chairman's daughter, is now in charge of the business following Seong-il's retirement. They did not, however, obtain any helpful hints from their inquiries. All they learned was that the man who was initially killed was also a researcher for their organization. The murderer is obviously very deliberate, but he won't just target Seichi Pharmaceuticals. The business must be concealing some sort of unidentified. As it happens, further investigation reveals something shocking. The police discovered that Seichi Pharmaceuticals had conducted cruel clinical trials on living people in order to create new medications. Under the guise of part-time employment, the inmates enlisted over 100 experiment subjects for the company in order to receive large salaries. But all of them perished following the experiments. This incident had a close connection to the experiments. The police had positioned numerous special forces inside the Seichi Pharmaceuticals building to protect the individuals on the list as the murder date drew near. They believed they were safe, but as the deadline approached, the murderer carried out his prearranged killings on time. Turning around, Jin Hee, who was doing a live broadcast from downstairs, saw a zombie in a gray robe materialize in front of her. Not long after, more uniformed zombies gathered in the square downstairs. All of them were experiment subjects who perished, and the killer was now using them as leverage to exact revenge. Their sole goal is to assassinate Min Seop, the first director on the list. When the special forces realized this, they quickly tightened their position. The zombie army started to move as soon as the mark showed up on their arms. In an instant, they breached the defenses and surged into the building like a tidal wave because they were nimble and targeted, ignoring both military personnel and civilians. This scene instantly made the Min Seop upstairs terrified, and the armed forces had to shoot to put an end to it. However, it did not help at all that these zombies were being shot at. They stumbled and instantly got back up, breaching the final barrier and sprinting in the direction of the stairs. The only thing the police could do was try to stop the zombies by turning off the building's lights and escorting Min Seop out of the structure via the escape elevator. However, the zombies were in front of them the moment the elevator doors closed. You are aware that the building is a few dozen stories away. This speed is simply incredible. But as soon as the zombies saw Min Seop walking away, they came to a complete stop, since they can get downstairs more quickly and directly. Watch the zombies as they jump one after the other. They were unharmed by the massive impact and quickly stood back up. A few executives had just arrived at the underground parking lot under police escort. The undead bolted from the staircase. Jin Hee hit a zombie just in time to give them an opportunity to flee at the crucial moment. They were surprised to learn that these zombies could drive, though. Numerous zombies departed from the roadside taxi and quickly pursued the path to reunite. Thus started a furious pursuit between the two groups on the motorway. To try and stop them, the zombies committed suicide with their undead bodies. Despite Seong-jun's excellent driving skills saving it, the zombies used encirclement tactics to block Seong-jun's car in the middle of the tunnel after it entered. Then a zombie got out of the taxi and began to attack their vehicle. The zombies' vicious assault soon caused the windshield to shatter. A few of the zombies seized the chance to smash the window and get inside. Seong-jun hurried to fire, but they were unable to ignore it. Seong-jun's car finally drove away most of the zombies after they put up a fierce fight, but the last one attacked the driver. The vehicle breaks down as it emerges from the tunnel because the driver has contracted the virus and zombies are swarming around him. The murderer's plan stated that they were only interested in killing Min Seop. Therefore, a gang of zombies grabbed Min Seop alive and dragged him out of the car. The zombies appeared to be telling Sang-in, the executive director, that he was the next target when they turned their attention to him after finishing the task. These zombies have since decomposed and collapsed to their knees while engaged in combat with the zombies. Unfortunately, the zombies grabbed Seong-jun. However, the infection is not very dangerous in the hospital following a non-life-threatening procedure. Following this incident, Sang-in knew he would be next, so he went to the board chairman, Seong-il, in the hopes that Seong-il would liven up to the killer's demands and apologize. To his surprise, though, Seong-il declined right away, citing concerns for the company's future. However, observing Sang-in's terrified expression, he declared he would talk to his daughter Mi-yong about it. With no other option, Sang-in left, only to run into Mi-yong, who had come back as he was about to open the door. It was at this very moment that Sang-in realized that Mi-yong, who was standing in front of him, was now in charge of the company instead of Seong-il. Mi-yong also intended to profit financially from the clinical experiment. Mi-yong is quite complicated, and the police side located the prisoner once more in their search for the real killer. This time, the inmate offered a fresh tip. He claimed that soon after the subjects passed away, an old man from Indonesia came up to him and informed him that his daughter had vanished from Seichi Pharmaceuticals after working there on a part-time basis. However, since the prisoner's sole duty is to recruit new members of the company, it's unclear what specifically happened to him. Thus, the prisoner provided him with his contact at Seichi Pharmaceuticals' phone number. Subsequently, the contact individual vanished along with the 100 bodies. As per the findings of the inquiry, the prisoner stated to the person in contact, "Is the conversation with the living dead?" It seems that the elderly Indonesian man is the true offender. Just to locate him to put an end to everything. Meanwhile, Sang-in, near death, unexpectedly discovered them, and fearing for his own life, revealed what he knew. It turns out that the purpose of the human experiment was, quite unexpectedly, to investigate a biochemical weapon capable of killing people, rather than to develop a new medication to save lives. Presently, Sang-in seems to be less concerned. He turned over the experimenters' list in the hopes that the police would put an end to it quickly. Not long after Sang-in departed, Jin Hee had an epiphany about an issue. Due to the fact that this evil spell needs dirt from the grave, these experimenters passed away at the former Seichi Institute. Thus, the elderly Indonesian man had to have been present. With this in mind, the group started out. Additionally, the institute has been abandoned for a long time due to the experiment's accident. They searched carefully and discovered a haunting scene in a room. Massive patterns that appeared extremely ominous covered the room's walls. Is there a connection between this pattern and corpse manipulation? The two men heard a strange noise just as they were starting to wonder. They raced to locate the noise. However, as they strolled, Jin Hee became aware that something was off in their wake. But the story didn't end there. More zombies came after. The two of them fled, but the zombies were too quick, and the one that caught up to Young-soo knocked him out. Jin Hee also felt a grasp on his neck from the zombie. Just when things were getting bad, someone ran to save Jin Hee. It turns out to be Jin Hee's sister, who is also a spellcaster, just like the older man from Indonesia. It turns out that Jin traveled to Japan in search of a means to free herself from the evil spirits that had once plagued her. Who knows? She spent 2.5 years dancing in Japan, but nothing helped, so she traveled all the way to a temple in China. A more experienced monk gave her instructions, and even though she was unable to break the spell, she managed to control the evil spirits that were controlling it. She unintentionally turned into a spellcaster in this way. She intervened to save his sister after smelling danger. Jin simply put both hands on the zombie's cheeks, and as a result, the zombie's body started to contort, and eventually did so into a twist. The three of them bolted, realizing that the other zombies were pursuing them. They hid in a lab until the zombies could find them. Jin calmly pulled out a special brush and quickly sketched a pattern on the ground. She pressed the ground with her bleeding fingers, and a wall of invisibility slowly materialized. However, Young-soo was too busy fighting off the zombies to enter. He had to hide under the table because he could see that the zombies were going to break through the door. When the zombies enter, they don't find the two sisters, but they do find Young-soo because she is hiding under the table. So Jin must go outside in order to save him. After eliminating a few zombies, she quickly vanished into the wind despite her great power. Young-soo tries to assist but is rejected. However, Jin Hee arrived in time to assist and managed to take down the zombie. Jin finished the last zombie by using the same technique after seizing the chance to touch its cheek. It was already the following day when the three of them broke out of the institute. To their surprise, though, Sang-in, who was under a lot of stress, opted to end his life. Jung-il, meanwhile, also consented to issue a public apology, but it was brief and abrupt, lacking in any real regret. This will only exacerbate the murderer's rage rather than put an end to the killing. In the meantime, the police station captain eventually located the Indonesian old man's daughter after looking through the list of experimenters. He forwarded the information to Jin Hee right away. The girl was Jin Hee's assistant, so when she saw the message, it shook her, who had been the girl's assistant at the company and been manipulating her just a few days prior by the older Indonesian man. It turns out that Jin Hee had interviewed, however, with Jin's assistance, the police who stayed at the institute and looked for her, managed to locate the elder man's hideout. After removing his disguise, the older man asks his daughter direct questions about Jin Hee. Observing Jung-il's phony banter on stage, the older man became enraged. The studio's lights flickered on and off. His daughter's body moved in Jung-il's direction. The older man was insane and determined to exact his revenge on Jung-il, even if the others tried to stop him. While running, Jung-il and Mi-yeong encountered resistance. Her body started to rot as she slowly extended her hand. Conversely, it transpired that Jin broke the elder man's spell at a crucial juncture, enabling Jung-il to make his escape. Right now, the elderly Indonesian man wept a dejected tear, not anticipating that ultimately, in addition to failing to murder his adversary directly, to receive even the most basic apology for his daughter's untimely death. But it didn't stop there. The catalyst for the entire situation, Mi-yeong, entered the room where her father was hiding. Seung-il never would have thought that he had avoided his enemy's retaliation, but not the poisonous hand of his own daughter. Mi-young uses toilet paper to remove a finger from the girl in order to eliminate all witnesses. She cut his face when Seung-il wasn't looking. Seung-il quickly collapsed to the ground after contracting the virus. Mi-young pretended to weep when the police came. She had no idea that the surveillance cameras had captured it all on film. They put a camera on Seung-il's chest before the interview and streamed the entire thing live. This indicates that the public has heard what she just said and that she killed her father with her own hands. Now that the evidence was overwhelming, Mi-young was immediately taken into custody and given consequences. And in the end, everything the elderly Indonesian father had done for his daughter and the helpless experimenters had come to a perfect conclusion.